Hi, my name is Anna Ovaska, and I'm a legal specialist leading our online road safety project here at Protect Children. Welcome, you're watching the Nice to Know video series, in which I will be interviewing our online road safety project's partners, their specialists, as well as other specialists in the field. We'll be talking about children's safe use of the digital media and how we should teach children about necessary safety skills to stay safe. In today's episode, I have Senior Advisor Julie Crutchley from ECPAT Norway. Welcome, Julie. Hey, Julie, it would be nice to know, how does the importance of digital safety skills come up in your line of work, and how does ECPAT Norway further children's online safety skills?
Yes, thank you for the question, Anna, and thank you very much for letting me be part of this project. So this work on the traffic lights and the online digital safety skills is something that in ECPAT Norway we are very excited about, and think it's really wonderful the way in which you're using such a clever approach of the traffic light system to actually appeal to young people and to give them such important guidance within this. In response to your question, I mean, initially, the aspects of where we see it's visible, we have actually just been working on a report going through case law in Norway, and it's been focused on cases in which there has been online sexual abuse or exploitation. And unfortunately, within our work, we have realized that it's significant numbers of victims that get affected by this whenever something does happen. And as a result, one, it's important that children are able to have these digital safety skills, but also it's important that adults and caregivers are able to give them guidance and to share in it as well. And so these aspects for us, we see frequently in our various work and our various projects. As a result of that, we are actually involved both with this project, but also with the Canadian Centre and the Zoe and Molly project, which is targeted at a slightly older age group in regards to online gaming. And that, again, it's trying to teach this older age group these safety skills and ensuring that there's protection for children online within that. And we have felt that the two partnerships will strengthen the various ages of children to ensure that there's no group that aren't being reached. I mean, in our research as well, we have discovered that it is often older children, teenagers, who have been targeted and been taught these sorts of online safety skills. But the reality is now, unfortunately, it's the younger children who are often at risk, and particularly in Norway, so many children have a smartphone at quite a young age in comparison to other countries. And so even more so, the internet is accessible to them, and if they are not aware of the skills and the nature in which to use it safely, then unfortunately they will struggle and they will put themselves in vulnerable situations or put themselves at risk. We also in our work are very strong in trying to ensure that legislation can be passed within Norway based upon international standards, and certainly the child rights focus of our project is very important in ensuring that legislation is in place, both that that children's needs and rights on the internet and to actually have the digital safety skills are there, but also there needs to be an alliance regarding the sort of NGOs who work with children and also with victims and survivors within this field, but also with governments and with schools and with businesses, with the tech companies as well, to all work together to actually strengthen the ability for children to develop the safety skills that they need, strengthen the understanding for parents, for caregivers, and for teachers. And we are also working alongside some apps that children will use. I mean, for example, with sports clubs and things like that, and trying to ensure there is this added layer of safety and child rights focus within the practice and procedures of the app to ensure again, that children are kept as safe as possible within that. And that will involve both teaching children how to use the app safely, but also teaching parents, caregivers, and for example, the adults who will interact with children via this app, teaching them the best way to use it, the best practice, and also the manner in which they need to go about the different ways they communicate with children to ensure that they're kept safe. And so those are just the main sort of aspects that we are currently involved with in Norway. And particularly because of our focus and recognising that this is such an international problem that hasn't got borders. And so this project especially is so important for us to be part of, because we know that there often will be Norwegian offenders, but victims in countries all around the world. And so being able to be part of a project which has an international focus and is seeking to reach out to children in different countries and to teach them safety in this different manner is very important. And that's especially why we're so excited to be on board with this project. So thank you very much for that first question, Anna. Over to you now.
Thank you so much for sharing more about ECPAT Norway and more about your current ongoing projects. They all sound really interesting, and you're just doing such an important job and such important work as well. And I really like how you kind of utilize all of these different angles to tackle this issue of children's safety, essentially, and you really look at it from many different points of view. So I think that's definitely very useful and an effective way to ensure children's or to further children's safety. Hey Julie, it would be nice to know, why do you think that digital safety skills are such a topical issue right now, and why do you think it's so important to talk about them, maybe now more than ever?
Thank you for that question, Anna. And I mean, I think that's a very important thing to address and to highlight the current situation. One of our focus in ECPAT Norway and in ECPAT International has been travel and tourism, and the problems of offenders travelling to other countries to carry out exploitation of children in those countries. Now, of course, as a result of the pandemic, travel has stopped. And so rather than offenders travelling and leaving Norway to go to other countries, unfortunately, the reality is all this has gone online to such an extent and has been such a great increase in the amount of abuse and exploitation that is now being carried out online. And I mean, it's simply, the numbers are incredible to the extent of the increase that has occurred. And I mean, that's such an important aspect now to recognise, particularly within the pandemic. You know, children, for example, in Norway can't go to their after schools clubs. Things have been cancelled. So they're actually online a lot more than they ever were previously. But also, you know, for example, with homeschooling in lots of countries, then children even more are actually online all day long. And also, I mean, in our research, we've discovered, you know, with sort of the problems of children not being at school in sort of different countries, but also poverty, which has occurred because parents just simply don't have work any longer as a result of the pandemic. It is actually putting the children at a greater risk of exploitation for financial gain in a lot of countries in the world. And so, I mean, there's so many levels now in which the use of the internet has so greatly increased. And it's of paramount importance, actually, at this stage that these online safety, the skills are taught to children. And so we have recognised the great need for this to occur, and we will understand that we have to ensure that this is developed fully for children so they can understand how they're working within different platforms and different gaming platforms and communication platforms as well.
All right, Julie. Then finally, it would be nice to know, do you have any concrete tips and tricks or ideas that parents as well as children could utilize to really get more interested and more excited about the safety skills and how to really convey the importance of them to children?
Well, it's important, I think, to sort of come at it from two approaches. One, I think, is the recognition of the great benefits that the internet is bringing at the minute, particularly when children are in their homes and maybe can't see their friends in the same way. But with that, it's also making parents aware of the potential risks. And I think, unfortunately for a lot of parents and caregivers, they simply don't understand the risks that are there, and so it's quite difficult for them to be able to guide their children. But also, I think it can be a conception that the internet is a very complex situation and not fully understanding the nature in which it works. And so, I mean, this also is why the idea of the traffic light system is so wonderful, because it's something simple and something that parents can understand because they were taught this approach with their children, when they were children, but also they are currently teaching that to their children at the age just before that we would be teaching them the online skills. And so with that also, I would highlight another connection that you make for parents and caregivers with their youth, and that's this idea, this concept of, sort of the stranger danger that we were all taught as children in a playground and things to be wary of. And using that same approach, which is it's easy for parents and caregivers to understand, and using that approach, but to connect it in with the internet, so they understand it can be a simple way, but their child can then be at risk. And that can be, highlighting, for example, that within these gaming platforms, adults can pretend to be young children whenever they're using them, and actually set up profiles as young children, which I think often adults who aren't or who have never interacted with these sorts of gaming platforms wouldn't actually be aware of. And so I think that's quite a simple way to make parents and caregivers aware of the problems, but also not to feel entirely out of their depth about the risk, and to ensure that it connects in with something that they can understand easily. A couple of other aspects is obviously to make it very fun and make it engaging in that aspect. And what we have done in the past has been to involve, for example, children can give recommendations, can give ideas, and as part of that, they enter into a prize draw, and as a result, they can actually win a prize through that. So it's making it sort of more of a competition, more of a game way to actually get them involved. And I think particularly having children giving feedback can actually show us ways in which things have worked very effectively and engage them very well, and other ways in which perhaps it needs to be altered slightly. So that, I think, can be a way to get children very engaged within that. One thing that we've also tried and targeted particularly at parents and caregivers is, for example, coming up to a period of holidays, of school holidays, we will have a way, maybe a Twitter platform in which they can communicate that sort of 5 key things that parents and caregivers need to keep in mind over the holidays in relation to child safety online and these sorts of digital skills that they will need. And actually, as a result of that, you can get quite an interesting debate and conversation that occurs, both ensuring that parents are actually thinking about the risks that could be occurring, but also you can get some interesting feedback from children in the midst of that too. And it's interesting to sort of see the dynamic and the discussions which arise from that. So again, it's about trying to engage greater within society these aspects, and actually seeing it as a way to easily communicate and to easily understand. And that certainly we have found has been quite effective in the past in getting sort of parents and caregivers involved in projects as well. But I do think key is educating in a simple way, reinforcing how important and how beneficial using the internet can be for children, but also just again highlighting in very simplistic ways for both age appropriate, targeted at children, targeted at parents and caregivers, the risks that can arise online.
So, Julie, thank you so much for joining us here at the Nice to Know video series, and thank you for your continued collaboration and support there at ECPAT Norway.
Thank you very much, Anna, and it is wonderful to be part of this project. And we would just like to send all our greetings, both to everybody in Norway who's watching it, but also obviously in Finland as well, and anybody internationally watching it too. I mean, we are so excited to be partnering with you on this project, and we just can't wait to see how it progresses and develops, and just to see children learning about online safety in such a wonderful but accessible way. And so yes, we are just very excited to see what the rest of this project will bring. Thank you.